This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. This morning, we actually begin a drive here at Gari Dam with, looks like it's still singular hippo, looks like it, still taking breath. All you see is steaming coming out of that there. And all looks like it's going to be a beautiful rise this morning. So if you would jump aboard to your very own live safari through the African bush. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Djuma once again, Private Game Reserve. So we got a beautiful single, looks like a single hippo at the moment, and then it could be more of them, but we've been sitting here for a little bit while now. We found out. My name is Andrew, and on camera I have Davi this morning, which is great. So it's going to be beautiful, looks like a day today, just to able to search around for the animals. Not such a cloud, so it's going to be a bright, lighter day. And we're sitting on a pretty much 11 degrees Celsius, 52 Fahrenheit, sorry. And just to listen to the bush so incredible, beautifully. Remember, everybody, we're coming to you live from all few different locations from Africa, and would love to hear from you. If you can send us the question through hashtag on Twitter, or hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, and at FC on YouTube. Am I hearing lines from a distance? But also, if you're under the age of 18, you can still send us the mail on kids' questions at WildEarth.tv as well. But a simple way is also to go on WildEarth website. You head over to the live safari page, and then you can submit your question there. So we'll answering them for you. Just such a beautiful morning. From here at the dam, just to listen to, looks like we heard looks like a way distance audio line, but we couldn't tell how far. So we're probably going to find out. So I know Laurentia will be checking entire of Djuma, and then I may head up into Chito, follow up on their Pride of Lines, Tate Talamati, and Dean and Pinda also. They may join us, as well as Pridelands with JP. They might also participate with us in this drive. And this hippo, very hippo, I believe that he probably came back into the water early this morning around 3 o'clock. I actually heard him, communicating. So every time they return back to the water, it's so important that they may communicate. So finally communications, because everybody has to return back to their own watering hole. So it's got to be a few watering hole around here with a few different group of these hippos. So all of the audio of the birds, and they were doing quite a lot of these just before sun go down last night. But this morning again, just for that, they were able to know each other, which position, the other operation, and whether they are all okay. So this is kind of our communication. Just heard a hyena on the way distance, but we're still going to make our way to the eastern side. So in the meantime, let's quickly have a look at our weathers in all few different locations.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the beautiful andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. Have a look at that sun slowly peeking its head over the horizon out in the open areas that we've moved into this morning. It's just beautiful out here. I'm Dean Carlisle, and I'll be taking you on the adventure this morning, guiding you through the southern section of Pinda, and we're joined by Johan at the back here. He's the cameraman, and we're very lucky to have him this morning. But I just wanted to show you the sunrise again. I mean, have a look at those beautiful colors, oranges and reds melting together. There we go, there's the first little section of the sun coming up just over the cloud bank. Pinda magic, we have it again. There's some birds chirping around. It's quite a cool morning here on Pinda. Not too much wind. There's a grey-headed bushshrike calling off to our left, but have a look at that. The sun, so important for life and everything we're going to see out this morning. So as we're watching that sun slowly rise, our plan for this morning is going to be to head back to that dam where yesterday evening we were incredibly lucky to find 2 leopards, and we're going to see if they're still in that area or if we can find tracks of where they might have moved to, and that'll be the plan for the first part of the drive this morning. And I'm really looking forward to sharing it with all of you. Look at that scene, hey? Darcy, that sky is outstanding, and it's all about appreciating the little things out here. I mean, we always go out and look for animals and some of the smaller things, but something that really gets me out of bed in the morning is appreciating sunrises and sunsets, so I'm glad you share that with us, Darcy. And just off in that direction towards the sun is the east coast of South Africa, only a few kilometers away, and there's big sand dunes, big vegetated sand dunes, some of the biggest in the world. And just other side them is Tswalu Bay, which is one of the most renowned scuba diving places in South Africa. So if you ever come visit Pinda, we can go looking for animals and also go spend a day on the beach if you'd like. Just beautiful. And as the sun slowly rises, we're going to try get quite quickly to the area where we found those 2 leopards last night and see if we can find any tracks of them. Or maybe we find the leopards themselves.
So we're still doing bumble here. Just gonna check quickly the northern boundary, and then from there to the east and across into Chito eventually. So not sure with this pride of lines. Seems that they cross into Touchwood from Chito, and for us checking this kind of the eastern boundary, Touchwood to the south, I think that's going to help, because in case they come west from that position, we may pick up their tracks. Actually have a long walk of these lions last night, wherever they are. We just want to find out what they're doing. I really want to find out whether they've killed, whether they eat all that done, whether they're still on it. Would it be really cool to find them again? I'm going to be checking watering hole at the moment because it's still cold, so just going to carry on moving.
Good morning and welcome to WildEarth. We're live at Eco Training Pridelands on bushwalk and just busy watching the sunrise and listening to some of the bird calls in the background. So my name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got Mpo. At the moment there's a beautiful sunrise for you there to enjoy, and we'll tell you a little bit more about what our plans is for this morning. From here we'll start our walk and we're heading to an area that's called Red Earth. And we'll go and see what we can go and find in the open areas. We hope to find some fresh tracks of some elephant or giraffe or buffalo, and hopefully be able to follow up on those. In between we'll also be looking at a number of plants as well as tracks and whatever comes our way. We're going to enjoy our sunrise for a little bit longer and then start moving on. But let's go and see what Lauren is up to.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the other of the Djuma feeds. 50% of the Djuma. Good morning, everybody. Always eating. That sun is just starting to get a little bit higher now. It's not warm by a long shot, but it's providing a nice amount of light, which makes a good start for the morning. My name is Lauren, and I do have BK on camera this morning. Our fingers are doing okay. It's a cold one, but we're not completely frozen. And our plans today, we're scratching the west. And as I always say, it's a bit of a hit or a miss. There's no real dam to come to, on Djuma at least. You just sort of got to wander and see if you come upon anything. And if any of you missed the sunset bumble yesterday, please do watch the last half hour. We had the most incredible honey badger sighting. I can't stop thinking about it. It was really, really so lovely to spend time, quality time, with a different animal. So lovely to spend time, quality time, with a different animal. It's hard to learn about these species when you don't spend time with them. They're just a species, they're just a name. It's only when you spend time with them and you start to watch their behavior and really look at them, do you realize that, this is how it does it. This is what its muscles look like. Exciting, and I did actually count 13 bodies, sorry. It's very different when you're on the ground and you're kind of looking at flat lions, but Davi and I both confirmed there were 13 yesterday. And Michael, thank you, you confirmed, you sent me a message about notched ear. She was there, and she was the female that was mating previously with that S8 male. So that's interesting. I think pronounced mammary glands were also spotted. So she's obviously joined up with the Pride again. It was reported she has cubs, but honestly, it's difficult when you personally don't see them or you don't see a photo. You don't see sort of evidence, but there was definitely pronounced mammary glands there. So let's keep an eye on the Talamatis. We don't have all the answers right now, but if we can try and always spend time with them, at least we'll start to learn what's going on with the dynamics there. But thank you for that, Michael, and yes, I counted. There was 13. One was just slightly hidden when we were doing our count. Look at that golden sun. Okay, Beaks, let's bumble. It's a chilly one, but it's warmed up nicely, I must say. This is sandy patch area, what we call sandy patch. And it can be really, really barren, or you're going to get lucky with from the west. TP, Mr. TP, Tortoise Pan, is crossing in just slowly on the west, exactly where we used to find Hukamuri. It's almost like he's going to just fill that little gap that Hukamuri had. I don't know if we will, but that's what it's starting to feel like. Hukamuri never pushed too far in because then he bumped heads with Tingana, not literally, but territorially. And he's just starting to cross in on the Djuma Western section. Be interesting to see if he crosses in further. And then of course there's Shidulu, Kara, Tavangumi. They're all using that western slither, I like to call it. So that's why we check this area, but really if there's no tracks or there's no signs, it can be really barren. Toot toot! Some of these birds leave it till last minute, my goodness. Ranger, good to hear from you. No, we didn't. We really didn't. We stayed with it a few minutes just because it was such a wonderful sighting and it was just furiously digging. I'm guessing possibly scorpions underneath that have burrowed, obviously using their sense of smell and their ears. And we didn't get to discover it. Maybe some insects that have buried themselves deep in the sand, because once you get to a certain depth, it is a little bit deeper than what he was digging for, it gets warm. It's actually warm down there. Now, I don't think it would have been termites. There was no mound, and normally in winter, the termite mound nest, where they actually live, they don't live in the mound, they live in their nest, moves much further down to get that warm band that you will find if you keep on digging. So I really don't know. I would have loved to have seen exactly what he was so focused and intent on digging for. It was such an incredible sighting. Really. Because sometimes we get these fleeting glimpses and, you know, it's hard to spend time with an animal like that. And we're also lucky that we have got infrared, so we really can spend time with that animal and follow it through the thicket. But no, I didn't. Maybe a scorpion, maybe another 8-legged creature. I'm really not sure. But in winter, honey badgers sightings are a lot more common. You see them. This is when we really get our best honey badger sightings. And they are completely opportunistic. They have been seen eating honey, which is where the name comes from. They will take carrion if they come across it. They don't actively seek it out, but if they come across something, they absolutely will. Crocodile. Jamie had an amazing sighting with the honey badger, eating a very small crocodile. Insects, arachnids, small rodents, fruit. They're really sort of omnivorous. Very broad diet. And in winter, you will find that a lot of organisms out here will just diversify their diet because they have to. They have to just take what they can get. Okay, there's no tracks on this road, but I'm just going to pop my nose down here and have a look. Number one rule on driving out here is always check behind you. When you come to a junction, stop. You have no idea how many times a cameraman will just take a casual look behind him and say leopard, which means you've driven past it and it's popped out behind you. Always check those sort of four-way stops. Junctions, intersections, whatever you want to call them. Nip in the air. Just making sure I've still got feeling in my face. Yes, I have. Sunrise safaris are my absolute favourite though. I do love the sunset time, but sunrise, that's my favourite. I love going out and putting the pieces together of the night before. What's happened? Who's moved where? I've seen that sun come up and it slowly get warmer. Okay, I'm gonna continue scratching around the west. You never know. We might get lucky and then we're gonna head south.
Hi, I'm Dee from the south coast of England. Today I was told I have won the most amazing prize to go to Marataba. Oh, I can't believe it. I became hooked on WildEarth last year when I was trying to escape COVID, and animals are my thing. I just love them and I love what WildEarth does. So that's why I wanted to become an explorer. Just so looking forward to going out to Marataba. Want to do a walking safari. Thank you so much, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Hi, I'm Nikki, your guide here at andBeyond in Ngala. So my favorite animal in the African bush definitely has to be the zebra, because like people, with our fingerprints, every single zebra has a different stripe pattern. And, of course, a group of zebras together is called the dazzle. How unique is that? Come and join me or one of my colleagues here in Ngala for a sunrise and sunset safari on WildEarth.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. definitely this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at andBeyond in Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through andBeyond in Ngala on WildEarth. Send me live questions through the WildEarth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
We've just stopped, although there may not be too much movement in the west. You always get the most glorious views of the Drakensberg Mountains. It's not too harsh right now because that sun is just coming up. It's beautiful, at least from our side. This mountain range extends 1,000 kilometers, and this is our view. I am going to head back to that area where the honey badger was last night, just to show you the tracks and just to look at all the movement. There's probably going to be vehicle tracks on it, but we'll be able to pick out the tracks and it'll just be interesting to see, maybe see some claw marks, because we know it happened and we know the culprit. So I am slowly going to bumble that way. Okay, we're going to continue our slow bumble so we don't freeze, and we are going to send you guys over to Pinda at a waterhole.
Good morning everyone. So we're back at this dam where last night we had the incredible experience of sitting watching some hippos slowly make their way out of the water, and then all of a sudden we saw eye shine back of what looked like a nocturnal predator, and it turned out to be a leopard, a female leopard. And we followed her a little bit, and she then came to this island and moved around for us the left-hand side of this island, and we saw her stop and freeze. Something obviously caught her attention in the island, and then we just watched her jump into the island, and we heard monkeys going crazy. So I'm not sure if she managed to catch something. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but this is the island that was all unfolding at last night. So we thought it would be great to come back here this morning and just have a look at it. And then later, while we were watching that female leopard, just in the middle of shot now, other side, the furthest part of the dam, is where that young male leopard we got to catch a glimpse of last night moved down towards the water there and actually had a little bit of a drink. So just fantastic to come back here. And now it's a completely different scene. Now the hippos are all back in the water. Last night they were making lots of noise. Obviously the leopards had caused a little bit of commotion because there's quite a small hippo calf on the left of picture there. Can you all see that little head, how small it is compared to the other hippos? So that's a little calf. Look at how cute. It obviously heard us talking about it and just hopped down into the water. There it comes back up with those ears flicking. Oh, look at how sweet that is. And there's another young one just to the right. And a third one, wow. A whole group, a pod of hippos in the water here. But yeah, completely different scene this morning. They were out grazing, and now this morning they're in the water. So what I like most about hippos is the interesting way that they keep the sun away. That's something I really, really enjoy about hippos. So they're quite clever. They're really big animals, and they spend a lot of their time in the water. And that means that they have less weight on their legs, because you can imagine a really big animal, if it's moving around on land, there's a lot of weight being put on their feet as they have the whole weight of gravity pushing down. But in water, they have a lot less weight because they're much more buoyant in the water, so they can just float or just stand on the bottom slowly, and they actually walk along the bottom of the water. So that's something I really like. And then so they stay in water to avoid the sun, and when they do go out of the water, they've got the beautiful sun cream, which gives it that little bit of a red kind of tinge. So it's their naturally produced sun cream, which protects their skin. So that's probably what I like the most. But also just the way they look at you from the water, how their noses, their eyes, and their ears are all in the same line, and the rest of the massive hippo is hidden below the water. It's just like you see the tip of the iceberg. That's probably what I like the most about hippos. I'm not sure if you can hear the birds calling. There's some chin spot batis. You can just hear the first two parts of the call. Normally the call, the way I remember it, is 3 blind mice. But you can just hear that whistle there. And as we're watching these hippos, let's just sit and listen to some of the birds. That fast clicking, chip, 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 that's a Rhizopalus. There's a blackback puffback calling. A long-billed cromback just flown in here. I've just seen the flash of green and orange as an orange-breasted bushshrike flew into the tree as well. It's a fork-tailed drongo in the top left of the picture now. What a beautiful scene here at Pinda, everyone, with hippos in the background, a bird party in the tree in front of us. Jerome, I do keep a bird list. I've loved birding ever since a young boy. I'm very fortunate to have grown up in a conservation-loving family. But I started a new bird list when I went to university. And yeah, I've been birding now for about 6 years since then. And my list's on about 526 birds at the moment, Jerome. Still a lot to learn, and a number of places I'd like to bird to grow my list. Wow, let me grab my binoculars. That looks like a squawko heron on the far side of the water here. Yeah, there we go. You can see those orange legs. Can you see how it had a bit of white under the wings as it flew up there? And it's a little bit almost like a bronzy gold color. Often on the edges of these pan systems and water sources, looking for whatever they can find. Look at it walking along there. There's so much going on. I think if you include the birds that we can hear and the birds that we can see, there's probably at least 20, 25 species at this one waterhole at the moment. And this dam is called Mvubu Dam, which in Zulu means hippo. And it's named after lots of hippos that often spend time in this dam. Look at all of them. There's another little bird swimming into the back of the picture there. That looks like a little grebe. And there's another one following it now. And what you can't see is how they just kick with their legs under the water to move. It's actually really, really cute to watch. I've seen footage of what they look like under the water. And they look very graceful on top of the water, but underneath, not so graceful. But I think we're just going to move around this dam and see if we can look at the island from the other side, see if we can find any sign of that leopard and where it might have moved to. But now, let's go over to Lauren on the move.
You've just caught us at the intersection, or the four-way, or whatever you want to call it. Now, I really didn't want to get out of my cocoon, everyone. I'm very nice and wrapped up, but I'm going to do it. I'll have no comms, FC. So I'm actually wrapped up in a big, thick blanket. But I'm going to come out of my cocoon just for you guys. Oh, my goodness. This junction used to be incredibly important to us. This is Hook's Junction, Shadulu's Junction, and... Okay. Elephants everywhere, you can see that. I don't need to point out the elephant track, but if you look at this elephant track in particular, there's something else. You see this? Panthera pardus, aka leopard. It's difficult to see when you jump out of the car. It's easier to see from above. And then if you look here, this track, I'm not sure how your views are. It's sometimes easier when you look at it from different angles with the sun. This track looks huge. You've got to remember the sand is softer. This track looks small. But to me, this looks male. Now this is a junction it's Zoe's, Balanites, Rebecca's. And it's really important. We used to always find tracks here, always. And recently, since Hook's gone, we don't see anything until today. But they are moving this way, so I think we are going to change. I need to wrap myself back up, guys, in my cocoon. Don't judge me. I'm not that hardcore. There we go. BK's also wrapped up, by the way. Just saying. Scottish blood doesn't get you that far. So this is a junction we just spend time looking at. Spend time. Because if you see it, has the animal gone this way? Has it gone this way? Have the elephant tracks covered some clues? Have the vehicle marks covered some clues? Then that gives you a time frame. If the vehicle has obviously covered some tracks, then it means it was most likely from last night. I don't think anyone's driven this road this morning. So you've got to take time at junctions to really put together the clues. Now I've changed my entire plan and I'm going to see if I can get lucky with these tracks, and we're going to send you guys over to JP.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. For those of you who have joined us, it's a nice crisp morning and the sun is just up. At the moment we're enjoying a view on the moon. The moon is our own natural satellite, and it's also one of the 5 largest satellites in our solar system. Interestingly enough, it's also the second densest of all the satellites in our solar system after Io, which is one of Jupiter's moons, which we can just see before the sun comes up in the morning. Just to give you an idea, the moon is some 360 to 400,000 kilometers away compared to our sun, which is 150,000 kilometers away. And both of these are important in terms of regulating a number of processes on the planet. In terms of the moon, it actually has an incredibly great gravitational pull on the waters, and it's what creates daily tides. It's also what creates day and night, depending on where the shadow of the Earth is falling on the moon. At the moment, our moon is going into a phase which we refer to as a waning moon, and in the southern hemisphere we can see it by a D shape. If it makes a C shape, then we know that we're going into a waxing moon. It's very easy to remember: C for climbing and D for declining, but the opposite is true for the northern hemisphere. It's just over half illuminated and is still referred to as a gibbous moon. The moon is also very important in terms of providing light for a number of animals, and we see that it will also influence the behavior of a number of different species of animals out here in the bush. Some of the most amazing experiences that I've had over the years has actually been following both African wild dog and cheetah with no lights in a vehicle on a full moon night. And those are the only times that they really become active, as they're generally considered as day active species. Certain species also only want to have a moon on its darkest, especially aardvark. They don't like full moons. And we used to always go and take the darkest nights to go and look for them, or when the moon is down. Because once you've got a full moon and the moon is up, it gives away their position and makes them vulnerable to predators. Good morning, Cornhusker, and welcome to the show. Yes, we always see the same side of the moon. There's a number of interesting indigenous African cultural beliefs around the moon, and one of those beliefs is depending if it's waxing or waning, and it's in the sun culture, where it says if it's making a C shape, it's actually keeping all bad things from coming on to the earth. Well, if it's in a D shape, it's spilling the bad things down onto the earth and allows evil to come down. As for me, also one of the most beautiful things to do is to be out here in the bush at night time. Especially gives you the opportunity to look at all the beautiful constellations. And depending if you're here in winter or summer, there's always a number of different interesting constellations, which is also unique to the southern hemisphere. Some of those are all centered around the Southern Cross, which is probably one of my favorite constellations, as it always provides me with purpose and direction. We're going to move off and go and see what else we can go and find for the morning.
We were just bumbling, following some tracks. It's really easy to follow tracks when they're right on the road, walking straight, and no other vehicle has been around, no elephants have been around. I'm also keeping my ear on the radio. Our radio seemed to be much improved, which is joyous. It's so difficult to turn when you've got like 500 layers on. Sorry everyone, I'm trying to look down at the ground for the tracks. What is it, pigs? You can see them. They're on BK's side. Yeah, I got them pigs. BK can be my little tracker from his side. When you're a small human like me, it's very difficult to see over the bonnet. But in the morning, time really is important. If you stop for everything, you're never going to get going. The animals are also moving. You're constantly behind them. So sometimes you've just got to follow these tracks for a bit and see if you do get lucky. You never know. That's what I love about a sunrise safari. You never know. Sunset also, but you kind of have an idea by that time where animals are. So we're going to keep moving, and hopefully we will actually get lucky.
So everybody, we came to the Chitwa watering hole. So all we try our best to check on these lion prides, but then they cross to the Beblusuk. The guys are busy following them there, so they didn't actually come back south. They on the north into Beblusuk, I guess. And then we came to the dam here just to see what we're going to find, which is, I think, is a hippos in this watering hole. This watering hole has so many of the hippos. And there's some also chance of seeing crocodiles here as well. So guys, now you wanna know how long do the hippo live? So generally in the wild, so anything from 30, 35, it can actually reach up to 40 if they're lucky sometimes, but that's a mainly general lifespan. When in a cage, they may get up probably 45 years old in a cage or in captivity. So in a while they face so much of a challenge due to natural disease, but also predators, which is mainly lions, would kill the hippos, these young ones. When they forage in land at night, they get hunted also by lions. But these males, they also do fight for territory, which mainly result in so much injury. Finally, after that fight take place, right, so we're gonna try see if we can see anything around this watering hole. In the meantime, let's go over to Pinda with Dean, who is also in a watering hole.
Hi everyone, so we're still at this waterhole. Like we said last night, we were sitting waiting patiently, and that's when the magic happened, and that's when these leopards came down. So there's the island again. This is more or less where we were sitting when the events of last night unfolded. So we thought we'll just come back here and give ourselves the best possible chance. And while we're doing that, as always, nature starts to reveal itself. So we haven't been able to see the leopard yet, but we did just get a whiff of something that smells like it might be a carcass. And I checked with Johan. He did brush his teeth this morning, so it wasn't Johan. And it might be African stink ants. So here on Pinda we have these big black ants which put out a pheromone to communicate to one another, bit of a defense mechanism that smells like like a carcass or something dead. So because this happened last night, I don't think it would start smelling yet. Last night was quite a chilly night, so the meat and the carcass wouldn't have started rotting too much. So I think that smell that we had was probably the African stink ants. But as we start looking closely around this dam, we found this crocodile. So in the center of your shot now, you might just see a little head floating, extremely well camouflaged, and much like the hippos, the rest of the crocodile is actually hanging down below the water, and it'll just be sitting dead still now, looking like a log, and depending on the size of the crocodile, feeding on mostly fish, and then as they get bigger and bigger, they'll start feeding more and more on terrestrial mammals. So things like a Ngala and impala that might be coming to drink will be what it focuses on. And interesting that they share this dam with those hippos, and so do these two cute little things. These are those little grebes that we were mentioning a little bit earlier. Have a look at that. You can see there's a bit of a chestnut color on the back of the neck there, and a little bit of a white rump. Look at them fluffing up in the morning sun. Just beautiful, huh? You can see that little white marking at the base of the bill. That's something that I always use to identify them, and it's just a beautiful little feature of theirs. Romilly, my most memorable bird sighting would probably have to be watching a black sparrowhawk, which happens to be my favorite bird. I was sitting in a hide in the Pridelands National Park, and we watched a black sparrowhawk chasing a dove, and they were really in like aerial combat. It almost looked like they were two fighter jets going toe to toe, swerving and dipping and swooping at high speed. So that was probably one of my favorite bird sightings. But sharing this one this morning with all of you, this looks like there's an African jacana that's come down. And again, as we sit here, the world's just unfolding in front of us. Look at how long those toes are. And look at that reflection in the water. There's something just beautiful. It looks like a mirror. And the colors still look a little bit dull on this jacana, so I think it might still be a young jacana getting to its adult plumages. And there's the squawko heron that we looked at earlier. So many different species of water birds around this dam. Now in the light you can see quite clearly the bronze color on the back of this bird that we were talking about earlier. You can see how its neck's quite collapsed at the moment, so the neck's quite close to the body, but it actually has the ability to, look at it preening itself under the wing, it actually has the ability to push out its neck really far, and that's its mechanism of hunting. Look at that jacana catching the morning light here. Such a good place for birding are these watering holes where there's just so much activity. There you can see that neck extending, like we mentioned. Look at that. Wow. Look at that. Looks like it's got something and now it's shaking its neck from side to side, trying to get it the right shape. Now it's chewing on a stick. Wow. The birds are all getting active now as we watch the sunrise this morning. It's been quite a chilly evening, as I mentioned, so the sun's slowly rising and the birds are starting to warm up, and that's why they're so active this morning. Tone, I agree, they are all so different and unique in the ways that they hunt, the ways that they look, but they're all sharing this beautiful watering hole as the place where they're choosing to spend their time this morning. But that's why I love birding, is there's always something different going on. And the more you sit and look and listen, the more those different and unique birds and their activities unfold. But I think our plan from here, everyone, is we've had a look for the leopard at this island. We haven't been able to see it, and we've looked all around this dam area where we were last night, and we haven't seen any tracks either. So they might have crossed through the grass where we won't be able to see their tracks. So our plan for the morning is going to be, I think, to leave this waterhole, and we'll go see if we can find where those lions have gone that we followed up on last night. We saw some lions last night, so let's see if we can go find where they might have moved to, and maybe they'll be enjoying the sun this morning as some of the animals are at this waterhole.
Hello, my name is Marnie Kell from the Greater Toronto Area of Ontario, Canada. I am most excited to meet some of the guides that I feel I already know. And I'm going to very much enjoy riding along with them to see what they see most days while they're broadcasting these safaris to us, while also staying at the beautiful Simbambili Lodge. WildEarth has brought so much to my life, and I am thrilled and grateful to have this opportunity. Thank you.
Sign up to be an explorer today, and it could be you jetting off on an all-expenses-paid-for safari experience. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
There's a grounding earthiness to this place that we feel in our ancestors. It's a place where, believe it or not, we evolved as a human species, and anyone who's come to Africa will understand that. The connectivity that the continent has to the person and to people's souls is next level. I am thoroughly looking forward to taking you on your next adventure when we explore all the small and big things.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is a call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oh.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hello, I'm Marna, your WildEarth Safari Guide from andBeyond Ngala. What I really like about connecting with WildEarth viewers is that we get to speak to viewers instantly, and I get to show you this beautiful property. If you want to ask me a question, register on the WildEarth website. Simply head over to the live safari page and you can submit your questions there. Join me or one of the other guides twice a day on WildEarth.
We have not had much luck so far, I'm afraid. But that's okay, we're almost at Tree House Dam. Lions! I just need to let Finaughty know he's looking for them. Finaughty, come in. I've got the Ngala at Treehouse Dam. Did you copy that, Finaughty? These radios. I've got the Ngala Treehouse Dam moving west. Who are you, lady? peaks. Perfection, reflection. If anyone can IDR, please do let me know. We've just arrived. I imagine it's a Talamati. Isn't that so beautiful? Look at the reflections rippling along her side. That was a real stroke of luck there. I'm just gonna see where she decides to go. Franklin's. Okay, we're not going to be able to follow for now. We've got another vehicle next to us, but that's okay. We'll do our best to keep up with her. Oh, I think that was my head. We can't go anywhere right now, but we can give you a beautiful view of the dam. Jamie, not at all. It's very common to find lone lionesses, especially mothers, especially if they're going back to cubs. Or sometimes they just like to go off on their own. In Namara, we always came across lone lionesses. They just want to, I guess, have a little bit of personal space. Maybe they're hungry. Maybe they want an entire meal that they don't have to share. Okay, we can follow now. So yes, it's common. They always meet up with the pride, but especially with mothers. I'm wondering who that is. I think it's a Talamati. Bless me, everyone, sorry. We're just going to let that other vehicle get up ahead. It's nice to have an animal, a treehouse dam. It's been a while, isn't it, Beaks? We come and we're, oh, there's nothing, a treehouse dam. She's cutting through, but we're going to be able to pick her back up on Philip's cut line. Okay, we're going to do our very best to keep up with our lioness, and we're going to send you guys to JP, who's doing a bit of tracking.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. It's been a quiet morning so far, but there's a lot of tracks about from last night. One of the sets of tracks that we found is actually of a single buffalo bull that moved through here. Here's the track itself, which is fairly round in appearance. And if we have to place it inside a square, it will fit neatly into a square compared to that of a giraffe that will fit more into a rectangle. And right over here, we've also got another field sign that indicates that buffalo has moved through this area, a typical cow pad. It still has lost quite a lot of moisture already, and if we compare the track as well as the dung, and we have to make a rough judgment of when this took place, this probably happened late yesterday afternoon that this animal went down towards the water and went for a drink. When it does come to buffalo, we find that they occur in a number of different social organizations. Typical is those large breeding herds that consist out of males as well as females and their associated young. And then we also find bachelor herds as well as lone bulls. It's quite often the lone bulls and the bachelors that are between the age of 8 to 11 that is on their own, and they are also incredibly vulnerable, and this has also led to them being incredibly dangerous and has given them the reputation of Black Death in Africa, as they've brought many a hunter's life to an end. When it comes to buffalo, which are in these single walking on their own, they often are also incredibly vulnerable to predators, and we find that statistics claim that males that are on their own are 4 times more likely to be predated on compared to females that's inside a breeding herd. Buffalo itself is also quite a dangerous animal for lions to hunt, and it's normally the responsibility of a large number of lions or the presence of males which will assist with bringing down such a large animal. They've got the ability of weighing up to anywhere between 800 and 900 kilograms, which is 100 kilograms short of 1,000 kilograms, which pretty much equates to 4 to 5 incredibly large lions in weight. They use their horns as well as their hooves to defend themselves, and on occasions I've seen lions being chased into a dam by a buffalo as well as into trees to escape from being injured. We're going to continue and go and see what else we can go and find. Let's link back to Lauren and see what the lion is up to.
We are following our lioness. I'm trying to see if I can see mammary glands or any features, but it's really difficult, especially when you're sort of moving behind them. I'm not the biggest fan of following animals, but if there's also no way around, then we just follow from a safe distance. But if there's always a way around, it's better to go up ahead. Oh, there was a steenbok running for his life. Oh. I can see the steenbok, Vicky, if I just go forward. The steenbok's here. You see it? She's going for it.
He got one here.
She's hunting. Let's go forward. Lone lionesses will. Smaller things. Definitely not a buffalo. As JP mentioned, they're far too dangerous. But she's hungry. She's interested. Oh, Franklin, be careful. Opportunistic as always. Okay, we'll slowly move forward. There's another vehicle in the area. Just want to give her a bit of space. FC, any ID shit? You guys have got a much better view than we have. I mean, given where the Talamatis were yesterday, I would guess Talamati. Just want to make sure I'm not in the way of this other vehicle. She's now heading in the opposite direction. Filament's cut line. She's now heading east. And remember, lions can always communicate through leaving scent behind and audio. So even if they separate, they'll always reunite. If she goes into the block, that's a really tough block for us. We may not follow. I'm hoping she just heads up to quarantine. That drainage of Rebecca's is extremely popular with lots of the predators, and it's not so popular with our cars. I got stuck in there not so long ago and rescued by Tristan. We're just gonna let this other vehicle go up ahead and take second space for now. Leapfrog, they call it. She looks like she's heading into this drainage. I will not follow if she does. Wendy and Rusty are already a little bit unstable, but what a very pleasant surprise for the morning.
So we got the plain zebra. Looks like it's quite a few of them in this area. We were also attempting to follow up on it looks like a female leopard track that came these directions, but seeing such animals, that's why we stop and just to listening also whether they've been threatening or not, because it's quite a few of these zebras also. And we had also the only one alarm call from the impalas in this area, but all just went quiet again. But they're just so quiet, these zebras. And they don't actually look like they're seeing any danger around them. But it could be that maybe the danger could see them. So we're still gonna bumble a few roads here before we move off, because that tracks look very fresh for us. Still hearing a little bit of alarm call from impalas on the left hand side, so we're going to spend time checking around in this area.
Morning, everyone. So we left that dam and we're heading to the area where those lions were seen last night, and Johan and I spotted a bird hovering off in the distance. And we stopped and had a look at it, and it was a black-winged kite that was hovering in the sky and flapping its wings forwards, backwards very quickly. And not a lot of birds of prey are able to do that. So to see that as something quite diagnostic of this species, or something that helps us tell that it's a black-winged kite quite easily. But now, can you see how it's got something between its talons there? And it's bending down and slowly feeding on some of the meat. So it was hovering up there looking for mice and small rodents. That's what they feed on mostly. And it looks like it was successful. So we then watch it swoop down into the grass with the amazing vision that they have. It could see all the way down into the grass from probably 15 or 20 meters up. And it managed to catch something. So now we're watching it eat that mouse. And it was a full mouse maybe 2 minutes ago. And now it's nearly gone. It's really put it away quite quickly. It was obviously very hungry, looking forward to its breakfast. Oh, there it flies a little bit up. And it's got a beautiful red eye. If it looks at us, we might get to see the color of that beautiful red eye. And a little bit of yellow on the beak. There's a number of birds of prey, we call them out here, predatory birds. And this has got to be one of my favorites and my mom's favorite as well. So look at that red eye now. You can see it between the branches. But we were discussing earlier the uniqueness in the different hunting strategies of different birds. And here's another prime example of that. This black-winged kite that hovers to keep its head very still, can then use those incredible eyes to find even the smallest of movements. That'll let it know where a mouse might be, and then swoop in and grab it. And it was successful in this case, which is crazy, because when I look at this grass, I can't see one blade from the other, and somehow it manages to find the little details going on within it. So we've seen a kill here on Pinda this morning. That's just amazing. It is such a pretty bird. Sitting now in the morning sun, just letting itself warm up, slowly doing a little bit of preening as well. Just making sure its feathers are in good condition. It's almost like doing pre-flight checks on an aeroplane. Before you fly, you need to make sure that the wings are good and that everything's working well within the aeroplane. I think that's what this bird's doing. So it had a successful hunt, and now it's sitting, posing, making sure everything's good before it goes again for another flight and probably another hunt. Even though it's been successful now, it'll do its best if it gets another opportunity to catch something like a striped mouse. A striped field mouse is something that they really like to feed on in this part of Pinda. You can just see the wind ruffling the feathers there. But I think we'll probably sit here for just a few more minutes and see if this black-winged kite does give hunting another go, or if it sits here and we can get a better angle to view it. But for now, let's head over to Andrew on the move.
So everybody, we have driven into this wood here because of seeing impalas not happy. And then we're following in a leopard track, the female. But looking at now the tree here, what we've seen a little bit of the flowering. This is actually one of the a knob thorn in this area. Once you see the flowering about to come out, then you know then maybe the winter is all about to end. And then we know that we're still heading up to the August. But September, this tree is all going to be flowering pretty much, so we know the summer it's around the corner. So it looks like also one of the giant eagle owl that is vocalization back on the background, but it seems far away though. It's quite harder to tell how far, but so I'm going to get out of this thicket. So in the meantime, let's go across to JP, who is also on a look.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're just out about and looking at a lot of tracks this morning, and it's amazing how many animals have moved through here. First track that I have right over here, with those little stickers, that's impala, which is one of the most common antelope species in this area. Then a very close relative of the African civet, which is known as a genet. So I'm not quite sure if it's lesser or large spotted genet, as I can't separate the tracks from one another. But it looks like a little miniature version of a leopard track, but minute, generally some 2.2 centimeters in length. And as we continue right over here, we've also got a track of a thickney. And being far away from water, it is possible that it actually might be spotted thickney. However, water thickneys also do quite often come towards water. And right over here, we've also got the number of tracks of rodents. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 tiny little feet, as well as where the tail has dragged in the sand. Then as we continue right over here, one of my favorite small carnivores in Africa, and this is a dwarf mongoose. A carnivore that weighs less than 200 grams if you compare it to a big male lion, which has got the potential of reaching up to 240, 250 kilograms. And here we can see the back pad, which has got a slanted axis, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 little toes with the sharp nails. And one of the things that we've seen in the track over here is the marking of the fifth toe at the back, which we don't often see very clearly. Luckily the sand is quite soft, so it allows for a number of tracks to be easily left and leaving clear impressions. Over here we've got another track. This one belongs to most likely a Natal spurfell or a crested franklin. Typically 1, 2, 3 toes forward, and then slightly slanted axis of the back toe. We're going to continue and go and look at what other tracks we can go and find. Hopefully we can find a fresh one that we can follow up on. But in the meanwhile, let's go and check what Lauren is up to.
Elephants. So wonderful, especially since that sun is finally starting to release a little bit of warmth into the atmosphere. Not my toes, but the atmosphere. My toes are still frozen. But that's okay. The lioness did go into the drainage. We will loop around in a bit, because she will pop out. She's mobile. I think she's heading straight north. But I'm not going through that drainage. And then, of course, we bumped into Ellie's. That was a stroke of luck. Ellie's just always seem a little bit happier in the morning, completely anthropomorphizing here once they get a little bit of warmth from that sun. They're obviously not flapping their ears. Sometimes they hold their ears completely outright without the flapping to try and warm up the entire surface area. But generally, you won't really find them flapping much when it's this cold. And they are close to Treehouse Dam. I was maybe hoping that they're coming down for their morning OG. You see that one at the top peaks? You can just see a forehead. I just find it really peaceful in the morning, especially when you've been driving and you're cold, to just sit and watch them. Many of you are saying that elephants are your morning therapy. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Especially if you've had a rough night. Not slept well. You can just watch Ellies. I go silent a lot in my elephant sightings because there's so much to appreciate. The sounds. They're really noisy animals, and just their remarkable beauty and their movement. It's really, really something to behold. Sometimes I just let you guys appreciate it, and now that you've told me it's your therapy, then that's what I'm going to do. The little one on the termite mound is just fantastic. We're going to try and keep up with these Ellies for a little while longer.
Suspended above Kenya's Masai Mara is a breathtaking lodge where unrivaled service goes hand in hand with extraordinary wildlife sightings. Ngala Mara offers a quiet place where guests have the opportunity to reconnect with the world again. Sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer before the end of July, and you and a friend could win a 3-night stay at this award-winning lodge. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
The importance of forests cannot be underestimated. Over 1 billion people live in and around forests, depending on them for fuel, food, medicine, and building materials. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, is the national implementer for a program called LEAF. The LEAF program makes use of indigenous forests grown on school properties to teach pupils about biodiversity. This directly instills a sense of ownership of the natural surroundings and reconnects children with our biomes and heritage. WESA needs your help to bring nature back to schools. Ask your school to join the program through the link on their website. Together with WESA, you can help take this incredible program to schools across the country.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, eh? Yes, unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Both. I think it could be mother and little one have come down from the mound. And the little one's taking a bit of a tantrum. I know it's not the best views, but let's just wait and see which way they go. Always a bird watching over. Hello, Ellie. We're getting a little bit of a view of the face. Do you want to come back up that mound again? And there's quite a few of them. They've been hit. Look at that jongo. My goodness. Brave jongos, they could end up getting hit on the face with a trunk, and that could be fatal for such a small animal, and yet fearless. Because they get what they want. Earth lover, not really. It's a good place for trees to grow because of the sort of structure of the mound. They can get their roots right down to access water. But in terms of vegetation, not really. Some termite mounds are completely bare, but this one is obviously, well, there's a lot of grass there, albeit dead. And that's what they're feasting on. You will find particular sort of species of trees will grow on top of termite mounds. But in terms of vegetation for the elephants, not really. And as you watch the elephants at this stage in winter, they are actually just sort of taking what they can get. They're being really resourceful, really broad in their diet. I touched on that earlier because it is winter. And they're just eating. With elephants, it really is sort of quantity over quality, and it always is like that. But especially in winter, they're just eating, filling their tummies, not really thinking about what is nutritious or not. If you think about termite mounds, they're well aerated. They've got lots of chimneys and tunnels and funnels and all sorts of things inside the mound for the termites. That's how they design them, if you like, when they're doing all the architecture. And therefore, for specific trees, and possibly vegetation like the weeping boarbean, for example. You often find them on termite mounds, and that's because they have great access to very fertile soil. The soil is extremely fertile here due to the termites' work. All that sort of turning over of the soil that the termites do. They're nature's little organic gardeners, if you like. And that's why some tree species will grow here. It's well aerated and the soil is very often extremely fertile. The roots go all the way down through all the tunnels and funnels and all sorts to reach the water below. So it could possibly be that the vegetation itself, in terms of the grass species, could also be very nutritious here. But because we are in winter, I'm not so sure. I mean, most of the grass is dead. No moisture, everything's dying off. There's many different species of termites across the globe. And they have a really bad reputation. They're said to destroy millions, shall we say, of dollars worth of property in America each year. And that's why often people think that, they're not good, they're bad, but that's not the case at all. They really are not. They're really important out here. They don't have access to the homes out here. We are in the middle of the sort of bushveld, and they play such a role in ecological balance of this entire system. You cannot overlook them. I actually think the total number, or the total figure, of damage that they do to property in the States each year is $5 billion. So you can see why they're not popular and people think they're pest. But really, they're a paradox in themselves. I mean, they're strong enough to eat a house in terms of wood, but their bodies are really soft, delicate, and extremely prone to drying out. So they themselves are a paradox. And what they do is a paradox. They can destroy homes, but they're also integral to the ecosystem out here. But there's lots of different species of termite. I think there's almost 3,000 species of termites. So the species that you get in the States is probably not the ones that we're looking at out here. I mean, they've existed for about 50 million years, termites. And they live in most temperate parts of the world. They can actually live anywhere, Australia, America, Africa. As long as the ground doesn't completely freeze over, they can survive. But they do mulch through wood, organic material, so they do have a really bad reputation, known as pests. But I just love them. I just think they're absolutely incredible. And a lot of people think they're related to ants. This is incorrect. They're actually closely related to cockroaches, which maybe doesn't help their situation, does it? But really, they're the backbone of the ecosystem. Here, the Kalahari, many ecosystems here in at least South Africa, across the board, they're incredibly important. And people have to change their mindset. But I can assure you, if your house has been destroyed by termites, I'm with you on that one. I can understand why you may not like them. Okay, we are going to move in just a little bit and try and keep up with this Ellie herd.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're live at Eco Training Pridelands. This morning has been pretty quiet in terms of finding animals. However, there's a lot of tracks out there. And one little spot where we looked, we could find almost 10 different species just by looking at the tracks. Right over here at the moment, we've got the tracks of one of the hornbill species, which is most likely either southern or yellow red-billed hornbills. which often comes down to the roads, forage on the sides of the roads, as well as come and dust bath on a number of different spots. Then right over here, we've got the tracks of a steenbok that's also coming through over here. There's a track that's quite often confused with that of common duiker. However, common duiker hasn't got the straight outer edges and doesn't taper so sharply to the front, and it's got more of a heart-shaped appearance compared to that of steenbok. Both of these tracks are very similar in size, and what we'll often notice is that both steenbok and duiker will put the hind foot precisely where the front foot has been placed. This enables them to walk quite silently. Another species that these tracks are often confused with is very young impala. However, impala is a social species and they generally leave a large number of different tracks. And impala doesn't direct register as a duiker and steenbok does. Now, up to this point, we've probably covered some 1.5 kilometers in distance. And we've basically been following the track almost for 1.5 kilometers all the way out. And we also noticed that the track is going in 2 different directions. And we generally consider steenbok to be a water-independent species, and they'll gain enough moisture from the food that they are getting. But taking in account that it's in the middle of winter and it's incredibly dry, we see that the steenbok has actually left its territory and took a long walk down to a water body to get some water and made its way back again towards its territory. They're generally highly territorial species with both male and female living in a small little territory. They generally tend to rest and feed separately.
So we're now stopping here with the impalas. Well, I actually haven't wandered far from that last position of where that leopard track was, but we don't come right anyway. So we may now try and look further away, different places. But these impalas, underneath of that tree, there is a fruiting falling off of that green thorn. So and that's why they love being around or underneath of those trees, because they're picking up these fruit. And they're just so quiet. They don't even alarm call anymore. When we get in the area, they were actually kind of like a alarm calling, but it's not happening anymore though. So I'm going to have a visitor there, wildebeest coming in to the area. So everybody, I'm going to continue. So we're going to be sending you across to Dean and Pinda.
Good morning, everyone. So the sun's slowly warming us up, and we managed to find these lions, the lions that we were looking for this morning. And we found their tracks, and they brought us to this area. And just a disclaimer for any sensitive viewers, they have managed to take down a zebra. So there will be, there's a carcass here, so for any sensitive viewers, please just be aware of that. But have a look at that lion panting through the grass there. So it looks like they've spent a good part of the evening feeding. And when we left them last night, they were walking quite intently in a direction, and you could see that they were on the move, they were on the hunt. And it looks like they were successful, which is fantastic to see. But have a look at that lion now, just warming up and enjoying the morning sun, probably still having a bit of a rest after a long evening. Just ears flicking, getting rid of some of the flies around it. And there's five lions here that we've seen. So this one looks like one of the adult females. So there's 2 adult females and 3 sub-adults that are about 15 or 16 months old. And one of the sub-adults got off and moved off. So I wonder if maybe while we're sitting here, we'll give it a few minutes just to see if the other sub-adult might go join its sibling. And they're also lying in the sun now. So as the sun slowly rises and gets a bit warmer, I think they'd probably move to somewhere with a bit better shade, depending on how much food's left at the carcass. So things like leopards that Andrew's looking for now, here the leopards often take kills up into trees to take them away from lions. Lions in this area, there's not a massive hyena population, so they don't worry about their carcass getting taken by too much else. So they might even move a little bit away and lie in the shade there, and then come back to feed whenever they need to. But there wasn't too much left of the carcass when we saw it this morning. Oh, there we go, that lioness has just gotten up. She's obviously heard something. And that's a good question. So the darkness of the mane is basically just genetic. So the genes of different lions in different areas differ slightly. So you'll often hear of the dark maned Kalahari males. Look at these lions, they've all heard something, guys. They're all up. Like I said, that's the direction that the other sub-adult moved off to. But yes, and so it's basically just genetic. It's like some people in different parts of the world have slightly different skin tones and are more commonly associated with different hair colors. It's quite similar with lions. There are some people that say that it's linked to testosterone, and that some lions with more testosterone have darker manes, but I'm not entirely sure of that. And I think there's still quite a lot of research that needs to go into it. So in general, it's just the genetics behind the lions in those areas.
Sorry about that, everyone. Not sure what happened there. I'm just listening to the radio. They have got Tavangumi. I'm just not entirely sure if it's a signal spot for us, but Beaks, who's desperate to see him. So we're going to try. We're a little bit far out, though. He was in Buffelshoek, but apparently he's now crossed into Djuma, which is a good thing. But that northwestern sector for us is not a winner. We struggle. But I'm going to keep my game drive radio on so they can contact me. Now that it appears to be working-ish. It's amazing when the game drive radios go down, it's difficult because we all communicate like a little team here, the 2 Djuma feeds, whoever we are, with Mike and Aubrey and Fenoti and Rexon. And we talk about where we've checked, what we can hear, what we can smell, where we're going to check. You don't want all the vehicles going in the same area. That's pointless. Also to coordinate sightings. The other night I found Tavangumi and had no way to call it in. Luckily, another vehicle saw me and they offered to help and take over the lock. It's tricky when you've not got this tool. We all have WhatsApp groups, but then when you don't have cell service, no. Communication is key out here. So we are just going to drive in that direction and see what we come up with. Tavangumi's really changing his traverse, if you like. Still in a northwestern sector of our property, but he's gone up into Buvelsuk, Chakana, Hartlepool area, even the Mangaletti and Simbambili. That's the drainage line that the lioness went into. So you never know, we might bump into her. I think she's going on a sort of northwesterly trajectory. She might pop out on quarantine. We're about to reach quarantine. The worst feeling in the world out here is coming to an area that you have checked and you've checked the ground, coming back to it a little bit later and the tracks are there on top of your vehicle tracks. That feeling is really, that's frustrating because you've done that area, you've cleared it, you come back, be it a lion, be it a leopard, whatever has walked here. Jared, are you still there? It's a little bit quiet. I'm not entirely sure we're all good. Heather. Hello, Heather. No, he's not. He's still very much in that phase where he's sort of nomadic. He's dispersed and he's seeking, he's exploring. It takes time for a male leopard to establish residency. It takes time. He's new to this area. He's made his way from Singita and he's exploring. He's got to learn. And it's mostly through analysis of scents. Who are the females around here? Who are the ladies? Who are the males? Is there a dominant male here? Is there a fresh scent of a dominant male? That immediately means that territory is taken. Who are the contenders? Who are the competitors? Who are the neighbors? He's in that phase. He's exploring. He's not setting up the territory yet. We have heard him saw and sort of do the scoosh, scoosh scent marking, but that's exactly what Hosanna was doing when he was still here. That's a natural biological instinct at that sort of point in his life, but no, he's not territorial yet. But it's going to be interesting to see where he really starts to put down roots. I naturally hope it's in this area, but who knows? I really don't know. It's a gorgeous leopard, incredibly relaxed, really, really relaxed. He's obviously been habituated from when he's been a cub. Okay, we're going to slowly bumble in the area so that we can get in comms. We're going to send you across to JP, who's still checking.
Good morning and welcome back on Bushwalk. At the moment we are following the track of a snake, and it's most likely one of the puff adders that has created this drag mark. And I will explain to you in a moment why I do think so. So in general, if we do find snakes moving, there's three typical movements that they will use. They can leave a track. This one over here is known as a serpentine motion. Sometimes they will also leave a rectangular track where they simply contract and expand the belly scales. And then we also find with many of the deserts dwelling snake species that they will use a side winding motion. So if we look at the track over here, we can see that there's a little ridge that has formed over here. And that ridge is formed into the opposite direction of which the snake is moving. So this is the direction of where it's been moving. We suspect that it might be a male adder, as it had left a short little mark over here and in a number of different places, which it potentially could be the tail that made the marking. However, it's not really so clear. We also generally find that males have longer tails compared to females that are shorter tailed, and this enables us to separate puff adders from male or female when they do leave a clear track. So in general, puff adders are quite a slow moving snake. They don't move off as easily and as quickly as many of the other snake species do, and if you do step quite close by to them, they will normally warn you with a hissing sound Quite a few times I've heard them actually hissing close by to my feet. Also, one of the snakes with one of the fastest strikes that they can deliver. When it comes to venom, these guys have got a very potent cytotoxic venom which leads to tissue destruction, and the venom is also there to incapacitate its prey, which is generally only rodents, but it also assists with the physical breaking down of the prey item to aid digestion. So for those of you who never ever seen a puff adder, it's a fairly short, fat, stubby snake. However, they can get up to 1 meter in length, and they got a typical diamond-shaped head. For those American viewers, it looks very similar to a rattlesnake, but without a rattle at the end of the tail. Some of the other common snake species which we do find over here a few days ago, but we were very fortunate to see an incredibly big mamba. However, our cameraman Paul was not as impressed as that we were. We're going to continue and go and see what else we can go and find. Let's see what the others are up to.
My name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide, and most importantly the questions that you ask, give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, 2 to go. How cool is this?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feeds.
Morning everyone. So our lions, as we thought, got up and moved out of the sun, and they moved into thickets not too far away from where we'd seen them last, but unfortunately it's in an area where there's lots of sickle bush which punctures tires quite badly, so we couldn't follow them in there, just because Johan and I wanted to look after the tires of the car so we can keep bringing you little magic parts like this. So as we were driving away from where the lions were, we spotted in the top of a tree this bird. And you can see how it's got a little bit of a crest at the back. It's got quite a flat head, big curved beak. It's a really big bird, and it's got that kind of whitish breast at the moment and some grey and white in the feathers. So just beautiful to see it. It looks like an immature martial eagle or a young martial eagle, which is one of the biggest and most powerful birds we get here at Pinda and in Southern Africa in general. It looks like it's looking straight at us now. But just amazing to see what we find when we're going along here from one apex predator on land to an apex predator of the air. And these things will feed on anything from small game birds like francolin to things like even mongoose and small antelope. They even have been recorded taking small impala. So just incredible. We've been discussing the different hunting strategies of the birds we've seen this morning as we've gone along. And these eagles fly really high up, and their eyesight is just incredible. And they'll then see their prey identified and swoop in and use their big, strong talons to grab onto whatever it is that they're after that morning. But you can really see that flat head and that little bit of a crest now, which helps give away what exactly it is. And as it gets bigger, it will slowly get into its adult plumage, we say. So it will have a brown breast, and then the rest of the body will be white with a few little black spots or brown spots. And yes, Venus, you're right. What a great sighting, and such a surprise. And they're endangered in southern Africa, so we don't see them all that often. So we're lucky to be here with it. And you can see that eye is quite dark at the moment. So as they get older, the eye color also changes, and it moves to a lighter eye color. And it looks quite similar to the immature crowned eagle, which we also get here on Pinda, another one of the really large eagles in this area. And the habitat is one of the main ways that we'll tell the difference. So crowned eagles spend a lot of time in forests, whereas martial eagles are more in these arid open savanna areas, which is where we are now, where we were with the lions just a few minutes ago. But you can see how it's just looking around, also warming up a little bit in the morning sun. And I'd imagine that quite soon it'll probably start looking to move off. So it might fly away and go look for what it can find this morning. It's not too windy, so it's a great time for it to go hunt. It might look for some thermals, so for some warm air that's circling up to get a little bit of height like the vultures do. But they'll often also just fly from tree to tree and use the trees as good perches from which they can have a look for any potential prey. It's even been recorded that these martial eagles can feed on jackal. So can you imagine? That's a small little mesopredator or small carnivore, and a scavenger that might come, for example, the carcass we were at earlier this morning, that zebra carcass. When the lions have moved off, jackal might move in there and feed on some of the meat. So maybe that's one of the reasons that this martial eagle is here, is maybe it's seen the carcass and they don't scavenge too much themselves, so it won't come in and try feed on the meat of the carcass, but they have been recorded to take small jackal. So can you imagine if jackal come to the carcass and this martial eagle were to try take on that would be quite a battle to watch. But for now, it's just fantastic to watch it sitting in the tree, slowly warming up and looking around, spending quite a lot of time looking at us, it seems. I can imagine it can even probably hear me talking to all of you. Katie, I'm not actually sure how many breeding pairs of martial eagles are left in the wild, so I'll have to look that up and try to get back to you. Ruby, so martial eagle lifespans actually can live to quite long as adults, but the exact age will be here in my bird book. So let me just have a little look at my bird book, and then we can get the exact age of what time or what age they do start hunting. So, Katie, there's around about 550 pairs of martial eagles left. So that's just over 1,000 birds. And it looks like at around about 7 weeks is when their time on the nest drops and they begin to hunt. But the females still roost on or near the nest until the nestling will eventually depart or leave the nest. So around about 7 weeks, which is really young if you think about it. And from 9 to 11 weeks old is when the nestlings start feeding entirely on their own. But for now, it looks like those subadult lions. Have come out of the bushes just to our left. But we're going to go over to JP on a bushwalk.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. Just walking through an area where we've noticed a large amount of dead leadwood trees. And I often wonder how old these trees can be, as it's been recorded that they can live for some 800 to 1,000 years and then still stand for anywhere between 75 to 100 years after that they have died. The tree itself is incredibly dense and heavy, and the wood is also incredibly termite resistant. I find it also interesting that at a number of sites in South Africa where they have done some research on past human societies, they've actually discovered that they used to use this instead of iron because the wood is being so hard. Often leadwood used to be used for specifically making hoes and plow implements so that the people could work the fields. Some of our civilizations came to an end some 800 to 1,200 years ago, and that leadwood plows and hoes are still visible. These trees also often, once they've died, create home for a number of different animal species, especially where we have holes that started forming from where branches have fallen off. It becomes homes for species such that will become home for species such as squirrels. We also often find that the holes will become nesting sites for birds such as lilac-breasted roller and a number of different hornbill species. We also often find vultures perched up on these dead trees, as this provides them a perfect roosting site for the night. So one of the practical uses for these trees is quite often that they will burn the dead leadwoods and turn it into ash. And that ash is often then used for the making of a whitewash, so that they could paint buildings in olden times.
So we are still on a bumble around, and we don't come right with this cat, so we're just going to search for anything we could find while we're in this area. Looks like we've got some dwarf mangoes here, all about just to come out from these holes, and all they're going to do, they're going to go forage, search for their food. So cool that they're all just gonna warm up before they go far away from their holes. Maybe this is where they've been sleeping in there. These kind of birds, hornbills, the other one that I associate with such animals. It's so important for these animals to have these birds because they can warn them if it's a danger. Watch this bird, what they do, they would sit on the branches, you know, check on the air for a bird of prey, where these mongoose, they could be in danger when there is hawks or any eagles above and they get hunted. When they get out there, they may travel far away, may or may come back to the same little mound.
So we're back with these lions here on Pinda. We were sitting watching that martial eagle, and then we just heard something off to our left, and it was the 3 sub-adult lions that had come out of the thicket and decided that they weren't as tired as their mothers, so that they were going to come play a little bit. And they've just come out into the sun, and we can just see them. Oh, look at a little bit of a yawn coming there. Oh, you can see those beautiful teeth. And yeah, it looks like they're just enjoying the morning sun. And now this one's decided to get up, and that's the general direction in which the mother is. You'll see there's thickets just off to the right there with some good shade. And it's a good probably 60 or 70 meters from the carcass. But as we were saying earlier, they're quite relaxed to leave it. So they're just moving off into the thicket where they'll still be able to hear if anything comes. There's still the last straggler with a little bit of shade. Looks like it's still happy for the meantime. But you can see how it's panting quite hard. They've got such full tummies now from all of the meat that they've been eating that to digest it's actually using up a lot of energy. And that's why they're having to pant so hard. You can imagine how much energy they put in last night chasing and then spending some time feeding as well. So this one's getting up. Oh, how beautiful is that with the morning sun catching it, everyone. Look at that full tummy hanging down. But it's moving off in the direction of that carcass. There's not too much meat left on it, but let's see what happens here. So just other side the bush, you can see a little bit of that red sticking out. Looks like she's just sniffing. Matthew, so martial eagles don't scavenge all that often, but like most predators out here, anything can happen. They're opportunistic. So if the opportunity presents itself and it was hungry enough, I'm sure it might, but I've never heard of martial eagles scavenging from a lion. But that's not to say it's never happened or it won't happen in the future. But what I'm going to do now, everyone, is this line's a little bit behind the bush, is to just try reposition to see if we can see what's happening here at the carcass. I'm going to go a little bit more. The line's jumping around, and you can see it's got a piece of skin there that it's pulling. Wow, guys, this is amazing. Look at the strength. Even though it's a young lion, it's got by the neck, and this is good practice as well for the lion. There's still quite a lot of meat left on the neck of this zebra, and it looks almost like it's practicing the final kind of suffocation that it would use as it gets older and when it needs to hunt on its own. So a lot of the play that these young lions do is geared towards that, is geared towards them being really good hunters one day. It's just amazing to see. Looks like now it's maybe just trying to move the carcass to try get to a piece of meat that it hasn't fed on yet. You can see there's still a little bit of meat in the ribs there. Oh my goodness, guys. I'm just going to keep quiet and watch this for a little bit. You can see she's pulling with all of her might to try and move such a big animal like a zebra. And she keeps looking around. I wonder if maybe she's trying to move this carcass off to somewhere in better shade so that they don't have to walk so far to come and feed if they'd like to feed. And so maybe she's looking around for some backup. She's saying, brothers and sisters, I need your help. Please come help me move this. This is amazing, guys. Millionada, so a zebra has a lot of meat on it, and I think it looks like they've fed on most of the carcass. So it has fed all of the lions well. You can see now as this lion's walking past the car, look at how full that belly is, Millionada. So they've already eaten most of the zebra. You can hear her now? You can hear the lioness calling? Can you hear that noise? I think that's the call for backup. So she tried to move it. You can't hear it. So she's just making I'm not sure if you could see her mouth there. She was just making a very soft little which is maybe calling her other siblings to come and help her try and move this carcass. But I think they're lazy and they're lying in the shade now. So don't seem all that enthusiastic about trying to come help her. Now they've just disappeared behind the bushes there. But Millionada zebra can be 290 up to 300 plus kilograms. So that's a lot of food for these 5 lions. So they've done really well to bring down the zebra, and it's a really good meal for all of them. And you could see there, as this young sub-adult lion was moving it, that there's just really the neck left. They've eaten most of the backside, which is where a lot of the good meat is. And all along they've taken out the innards, and just really a little bit of meat on the neck and on the ribs is left. But I think they're probably going to spend a little bit of time in the thicket now as it gets a little bit warmer. Carcass isn't too far, there's water not too far. So I think these are happy lions for the meantime.
Hi, I'm Dee from the south coast of England. Today I was told I have won the most amazing prize to go to Marataba. Oh, I can't believe it. I became hooked on WildEarth last year when I was trying to escape COVID, and animals are my thing. I just love them and I love what WildEarth does. So that's why I wanted to become an explorer. Just so looking forward to going out to Marataba. Want to do a walking safari. Thank you so much, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. As one of the industry's best and Fagasa Indoors training institutes, NJ Moorfield Guide College produces professional guides of exceptional caliber and gives students from around the world an incredible experience. NJ Moore offers courses to suit all types of interests. The full-length career course results in a Fagasa accredited qualification and the option of a 6-month internship at one of Moore Family Collection's luxury safari lodges. Shorter courses are a great introduction for those considering a career in field guiding or even a life-enriching experience in your gap year. With spaces still available in July, don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to live your African dream.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. At the moment we're looking at a tree which is known as a magic quarry. We often find these trees in sodic areas or in swirls with a high metal base, and it's also believed that past prospectors who are looking for gold would use this as an indicator. Now the reason why it's called a magic quarry is it's believed that you can actually divine with it and you can find water. There's also a number of other things that I find interesting where some form of superstitions are associated with it. That's one of the trees that the wood will never be used as firewood, as it's believed that the tree possesses some form of supernatural powers. We also find that small branches are often broken off and then it's hung in front of the entrance of an African homestead to bring some good fortune. Some of the other practical purposes for this plant is to actually use it as a toothbrush, as many a guide will tell you that it's a toothbrush tree. What they'll often do is they will break off a little branch like this, fray the edges, and then use it for cleaning the teeth. A little bit earlier we also were looking at leadwood, and leadwood is one of the other tree species in this area which is also considered with some form of dental care, and there the ash is often used as a whitening to clean the teeth. Coming back to the magic quarry, in the summer months we'll find that it will also produce small or black fruits. I like the taste, but it's got very high tannin content, so you can't really eat too much of it. But also what we find is that it's often used in excessive amounts to actually act as a purgative to clean out the stomach when you do eat it. It's also been recorded that it's been made into alcoholic beverage, as well as that the fruit is often used to make ink from it. What you'll also notice is that the leaves don't very easily come off, and we see that it's often therefore used as fire bashers. So if you do have a felt fire, it's one of the things that you can break off as a branch of this, and it helps to actually put out the fire by bashing the fire. However, the problem over the years, whenever we've got fires, or had to go and fight fires, we very seldom had magic quarries around. We're going to move off and go and see what else we can go and find.
We still on a bumble around here. We've done pretty much a few roads hoping to find the leopards, but none. So now we're just gonna do more of a bumble, but back into Djuma, where we were working this morning inside Chito. So it's been really quiet this morning, and so I'm actually hoping maybe along this road we may pick up something. All I was hoping is to find that female leopard, because so you're asking who are my first leopard I saw in Djuma. So yeah, back in the days, what happened was the leopard was actually very slightly rare to see, or not really relaxed, but there was a female called beacon female. So that was the female I ever seen in that time. And then she was actually usually up in the north, which is in Manyeleti, come to Beversook and then back into there. But we still remember her we had a Kanyin still, where she's actually was her daughter. So that was my first leopard I've seen that time. And then from there comes so many other leopards then. And then so many males, as well as Jordan. And that Mafufinyana, I actually used to know the name of him, but I only come across him later after that. Now I'm going to check one of the pans here. That's a twin dam. That's where I'm going to be heading into, just to see what is going to be drinking, because it's getting in a time where it's beautiful light. When most of the die animals, they may want to drink. So I may actually go down in this river here, see if I don't lose signal until we get there. Check the dam here. In the meantime, let's go across to Lauren.
We don't have any view, guys, but a leopard is here stalking this impala. It's really not the best views, but we're just going to work with it for now. It's best not to move your vehicle too much. But we are on triple lane, which means there could be lots of vehicle traffic, but we're looking into Djuma. I believe it's Tavangumi, and I believe he's flat stalking that ram that you just saw. So let's just see, we'll hear it. If there's any sort of takedown or launch, we'll hear it. But it's really not the most riveting thing to just look at the thicket. But patience normally does pay off. So we're just going to sit tight. I can see the impala ever so slightly moving. I just can't see the leopard. But impala is not alarm calling, feeding. Doesn't seem to be aware that there's a predator here. Which is exactly what the predator wants. But for leopards, it's a remarkable test of patience. Waiting, waiting, waiting for that right moment. If you don't wait for that right moment, you're not going to get lucky. See, he's just quite happily feeding. Okay, we're going to sit tight here. You never know what's going to happen. But we're going to send you over to Pinda with one of my favorite birds.
So we're back with what sounds like Lauren's favorite bird as well, this beautiful martial eagle. And the lion, after it was trying to call for some backup, I didn't get any of that backup. So we left them sleeping in the bushes, and we just thought it's a different angle now to look at this bird. And you can actually see the eye now. Look at how beautiful that eye is, and how it's slowly starting to turn from that dark color to that lighter color that it gets as an adult. And you can see that darker head slowly starting to come on the back of the crest there. So when it's younger than this, that'll be almost entirely white. And now as it's getting older, it'll slowly start turning to that darker color, and moving down below the head on the breast there will start slowly turning darker. So just amazing to see. Look at that, how it's turned its neck completely 180 degrees around. How amazing is that? You can see the wind blowing in the feathers on the back of the head there. And you can clearly see that crest and that flat top of the head, which helps us know that it's a martial eagle. And that very hooked beak as well, which they use to tear up their food. Such strong birds, such powerful birds. And look at that, how it's just fixed. Rashawn, there are Varroa's eagle owls in this region. We don't see them all that often, but there are a few Varroa's eagle owls or giant eagle owls around that we see. Those beautiful pink eyelids. And they've got a beautiful call. We often hear them quite a bit more than we see them. Also a really big, that's one of the biggest owls, or the biggest owl we get in the region. So like the Marshall's one of the biggest eagles, that's one of the biggest owls we see. But look at how it's bobbing its head every now and then. Just scanning around like we were doing this morning at that waterhole, trying to see what we can find, and it being patient, just like us. Termite burrito, it is a very cool bird. For me, it just looks like someone or a bird that could really tell some stories. It looks like it's not scared of much. It's one of the bigger eagles in the region. Really great hunter. And just in general, a very cool bird. And you can just see through the bushes there, the legs. And it probably won't be possible for us to see, but there's those really strong talons at the base of the legs. They're just behind those pods in the tree there. So we're probably not going to be able to see the talons from this angle. But like we were saying earlier, that's what they use to perch, but also what they use to bring down a lot of their prey. Oh, look at that. Look at that little tongue. Wow. How amazing was that? Giving us a bit of a yawn. But yeah, those strong talons are what they actually use to deliver the killing blow on whatever antelope or small mammal that they're hunting on that particular day. Coming in with all of their weight and hitting the animal quite hard and then using their talons. And I always find it so interesting to look at how peaceful it looks here in the wind, but knowing how quickly it can change into its hunting method. Douglas, so essentially we've got neck muscles which are stopping us from turning our necks all the way around. They restrict us. And the neck muscles on eagle and owls are a lot more relaxed. So they can turn their heads and their neck.
Still no sign yet. Alarm call, so he's been spotted. You heard that? He has been spotted. Game's up, boy. I still don't see him, but normally once the game is up, once the impala spot them, they do start moving. I love that sound. Okay, they've got him behind. We're going to reverse a little bit. I can't see PK. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to turn around. This is a really busy and lots of traffic. I think it's easier to just be doing a U-turn than anything else right now. Sorry, this is going to take a little bit of navigating. A boundary line sighting is never easy. There he is. Combs, now you're going to cross, aren't you? You are going to cross. But luckily we can follow. Sorry, boy. I'm so sorry that didn't work out for you the way you wanted it to. He's going to cross into Simbambili and we can follow. Okay, everyone. Let's follow for a little bit. Okay, we'll give the other vehicles a little bit of a view as well, but he's heading to One-Eyed Pan and we can follow. What do you think, Beaks? Gorgeous leopard or what?
He is gorgeous, eh?
He is gorgeous. Beaky's been saying, I want to see Tawangumi, I want to see him. Okay, everyone, we can go in here. Okay, we're going to try our very best to keep up with Mr. Tavangums. WildEarth crossing into Simbambili following the Tavangumi sighting.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're out and about for a few hours already and we've covered quite a lot of ground, looking at a number of different tracks as well as interesting trees and plants this morning. Just got back to a dam that we refer to as Leopard Dam, as leopards often been seen here. So elephant as well as buffalo likes to come and visit this dam in the later parts of the day. So we were hoping that it was going to warm up sufficiently by now to allow some of the animals to become thirsty enough to come and have a drink. We're just going to share with you a few of the things that we can see over here, right on our right-hand side over here on the top of this tree. We've got a number of oxpeckers that are sitting out there. They also just came down for a drink, and they also wait often for animals to come down and come and drink. And what we'll see is that they will go down and up and down the legs of these animals as the ticks move up, as they are standing in the water. I've seen this several times with buffalo, but I've also seen animals such as the serrated hinged terrapin that we also find in this dam, also doing that, swimming up to animals drinking and then nibbling the ticks off their legs. There used to be a hippopotamus up to a week ago that used to frequent both of the dams on the property. It seemed to have disappeared, and both the serrated hinged terrapin and the oxpeckers have also become very good friends of him, as he too has a large amount of parasites on him that they will often go and feed off on. For those of you that don't know, oxpeckers tend to be often supporting a lot of animals and removing ticks, but also they provide them with invaluable service as in terms of warning them of any potential dangers in the area. I'm just going to pan a little bit further along the water body. They just disappeared behind a tree now. That's a group of Egyptian geese. And we'll just see if they're going to pop out again behind this little island. These guys have recently bred, and they've also got a number of chicks with them, which we have found a few days ago. There's roughly 4 of them, and there's also a little grebe that's following these chicks around. First, the chicks was smaller than the grebe, and now the grebe is outdwarfed by these little geese.
Can you get him there? So it's been really quiet, but we've got a long visual of some bull elephants into that bush. And it's just because of all the bushes, they're very difficult to be spotted. All we've seen was just like an ear flapping in there, so we know that could be an elephant. We will find out. Maybe it's a herd of elephants, but looking at that size, maybe it's one of these male around here. And a lot of time males that travel on their own, away from the females. But they sometimes rejoin the herd. That is not a problem, but they won't spend much time there. Especially bull and must, where we check the female status every now and then, and that make him move to find a lot of females or a lot of different group. They're not territorial. But it seems to be far from the water. We're driving past the treehouse dam. There was empty, there was nothing there. And then they maybe later on wanting to drink, which is maybe that's going to be one of the water station for them at the moment. Just not moving too much. Probably maybe whatever it's got there in terms of feeding, it's so much nutritious. And then these plants, grasses, is now gone to browny color. So they will rather browse in these bushes much than grazing in grasses. They will still take grasses, but mixed up with these herbs and leaves from these trees. So we'll find out it's going to be maybe more than one or only single elephant. Well, usually if it's a herd, then it could be more of females around here. Where females, they get around, they congregate in number of animals at the same time. Betty, so you're asking, with the elephants die over natural causes quite a lot. That may happen. They have a problem with nature causes, which such a disease is, especially with these trunk being paralyzed and not able to feed or anything. But usually when they die of older age, it was one of the things. But that's not happening quite often out here. But yeah, they may die of natural causes. Or usually older age when they reach up to 55, and then their tooth kind of like not really allowing the animals to be used anymore, result in die of starving that animal. So it's always important for the elephants to have their teeth very well healthy, and their trunk also, because those are actually key to support the animal. The trunk itself, it's just a tool. teeth. The molars is the only equipment they already have, or animals. And then they have to chew before they swallow. There's only 2 keys. So I'll see if maybe there's more of these elephants around here.
We have another wonderful guest with us, Sergio Real. Sergio is a holder of the Ticket to Dream.
I bought a Ticket to Dream because I love WildEarth. All of the guides have been awesome. We've been watching for years, and it's a favorite part of my day to get to watch the drives. I look forward to seeing lots of leopards.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
My favorite part of the drive today was definitely an elephant that paid us a visit and came right to our car.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
It's amazing being on a live drive in Djuma. It's just fantastic. The scenery is beautiful and the animals are even better.
The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, encourages people to care for the earth. Through innovative projects, they aim to reverse the serious issues that we face in the world today. One of these projects is Green Coast, a proudly South African award for sensitive and well-managed coastal sites. This sustainability project protects our national coastlines while providing unemployed youth with a love for their environment and a hope for the future. WESA is a membership and volunteer-supported organization. Every supporter is helping to change the only earth we have. Visit our website to see how you can help care for our earth.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
So now I think we discover more of the elephants, so it looks like it's a herd around here of these animals. So this one actually saw him from way distance across this road, and then we knew that there could be more of them around. It's one of the young bull that this very beautiful tusk is coming out that way. He's just gonna walk right straight towards us, but he's still communicating anyway. See with his trunk is actually trying to smell on the ground, possible where the rest of the herd have moved through, and then he's behind these footprints, and then he eventually will find them. So I'm gonna try reverse just once. So maybe have a better view of him. There he goes through the bush. Where he's going is probably more of elephants in there, so they're well communicating, even though they're separated apart from one another. And the sound that they make, you'll be able to find one another again. So we're going to stay put in this area, and in the meantime we're going to be sending you across to Dean at the watering hole.
Hi everyone, so we're back at a new watering hole, and as we said, down here in the south of Pinda, in the winter times, these water holes are really good places to come look for birds and animals. And we found these beautiful white birds. So can you see how they've got red legs and they're moving their bills from side to side in the water like that? These are African spoonbills, and they'll be looking for small fish and invertebrates as they're moving along these areas, and their bill really is shaped like a spoon, and it helps them to catch their prey most successfully. And it's another link to, there you can see the spoonbill, the shape of the bill, where they got their name. And it's another nice link to the different hunting strategies of birds out here. But isn't it a strange looking thing? I really think it's a very strange looking bird. And while we're on this bird, just to touch again on the eagles and how they turn their necks quite a long way around. To answer that question, they also have 14 vertebrae in their neck. So we only have 7 in our neck, and eagles have 14 vertebrae that are loosely connected, which also allows them to turn their neck about 210 to 270 degrees. But how beautiful is this scene, guys? Some monkeys running in the background, and Johan will go just to the left there. You can see a whole troop of monkeys that are just enjoying the morning sun, moving down towards the water as well, looking for what they can find. That one on the left there looked like it's got some insect or something inside that big pile of dung. But I think for now I just want to keep quiet for a little bit, see what we can hear, and I'll let you enjoy these spoonbills hunting and these monkeys foraging towards the water. Just a beautiful scene out here at Pinda, and what a special morning. We've been very lucky. It sounds like across the different reserves this morning we've really seen our fair share of different things, some beautiful birds, some beautiful trees, some beautiful animals as well. And I'm sure there are a number of highlights for all of you. But thank you so much to everyone for joining us. We really appreciate it, and I hope you keep finding magic in the mundane in the bush all around us. And I really hope you're able to join us a little bit later on this afternoon as we go out again and see what adventures we have in the bush. So goodbye to everyone for now.
This program